All right. Welcome back to the Malapert Smark Podcast, to our legions of fans, which is growing and growing. We're up to 224 subscribers now on the YouTube, so I'm very happy with that. That's a good, respectable number. It could go up, though, for people who may have, listened to our show and not subscribe. Maybe we can improve, and we'll win them eventually, all right, guys? So we're going to talk wrestling today. We got the wrestling expert here, obviously. I'm going to introduce him first. Thank you for being here, Vlad. We're here to talk about the last week of wrestling. Are you excited? Since Monday.
I am very excited to talk about wrestling. Extremely excited. I'm happy to be here. But as they've said before, I'm happy to be anywhere.
That's Vlad. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time and your expertise on the wrestling, as your name says, the wrestling expert. And also, Robert is here, the Frozen Asian. Thank you for being here again this week.
Of course.
Tell me you're excited.
I'm excited.
We got Raw, we got Dynamite, we got SmackDown.
I didn't watch SmackDown, but I'll find out about it from you guys, I guess.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll fill you in, man. We'll fill you in.
All right.
But also, in addition to Raw and SmackDown and Dynamite from this calendar week, because we're here recording on a Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. where we are. The whole week has passed us by, so it's a good time to record and a summary of this past week for posterity. We'll keep a record of it. But last Sunday night, we recorded on the 26th of May, and Double or Nothing, AEW's pay-per-view, had just finished, and we didn't really watch all of it. I watched some of it. I watched some of the first 2 hours, and then we kind of just summarized the ending. We had to record on Sunday night because it was the only time the three of us can actually get together, but I do want to mention some of it. Okay, so I know we're talking about this week, and the title of this video is from May 27th up until today, June 2nd, but May 26th was Double or Nothing. So we're going to go back and mention a couple things, if you don't mind, guys. All right. It's just for completeness sake for this show. We didn't cover the end of that show. So there was a big injury where Edge got injured. So we're going to talk about Edge injury first. But before that, earlier in the night, there was another guy who almost died. It was Big Bill in that triple threat match between Jericho and Hook and Shibata. And Big Bill came to help Jericho. And this is the bump he took off the ring apron onto a table that was on the outside from Hook, a suplex. That was really weirdly scary because the legs of the table was literally not even an inch away from hitting Big Bill. So he could have been impaled through this thing.
Can you run that back one more time?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm seeing this.
Oh my god. It's worse than I thought. Okay.
Wow.
I never realized, I guess I've never seen it before where someone got that close to the leg. I never even realized you have to aim for the middle of the table. You do have to aim for the middle of the table.
But wait, is that table leg sharp to the point where it would literally impale him?
I don't think it would impale.
I don't know, no, but it would have hurt like hell.
It would have fucking broke something.
It would have broke something.
Yeah, for sure.
Or his spine, he could have been paralyzed or something.
Yeah, if he landed right on that, yeah.
So you gotta aim for the middle of the table, guys. I never thought that you have to.
I'll remember that the next time I throw someone through a table. I'll try to remember that.
Next time I take a bump off the table toward the table, I'm gonna say, make sure you throw me right in the middle there.
Man, I don't like to be that type of wrestling fan that is here analyzing AEW. I'm not an expert. I'm a Malapert Smark, okay? I don't enjoy being a Malapert Smark, though. It's just what I've turned into because AEW has turned me into this, I think.
Okay.
The reason I'm the moniker Malapert Smark, for you guys who have just joined our show, a Malapert is someone who's disrespectful to someone who is more experienced in a certain profession. And I've never been a wrestler, but here I am analyzing wrestling and telling these guys how to do it. I've never had to do this before. Back in the days when people were professional, I didn't have to oh, no, you messed up like this. I don't want to have to do this. But anyways, that's kind of what this show has turned into and what a lot of wrestling shows have turned into, following the Jim Cornette motto of criticizing the show. But anyways, this is a near injury. there's been a lot of near injuries and a lot of injuries in the short history of AEW. A lot of bad injuries, a lot of broken legs and such, a lot of unnecessary risks, people say. But I'm going to skip to the Edge Malachi Black match, which actually I thought was a good match, to be honest. It started off really good. Edge came out with this cool ring walk entrance. He didn't get to use actual Brood music, but it was, different music
Well,
than he usually used.
Sure, copyright. You can't take WWE. Sure.
But the beginning was actually, they started off really hot. Like, they were kind of dodging each other, and, Edge dodged Malachi Black's finishing move. Malachi Black dodged a spear. It was pretty intense. And for a hardcore match, I kind of liked it. I was surprised that I liked this match. I thought it was a good showing for Malachi Black if he wants to go to WWE later on. But I'm going to show the spot where Edge broke his leg he jumped from the top of the... Again, I don't want to be analyzing this and telling professionals what to do, but here he goes, and he falls on his feet from the top of the cage. And I didn't even realize he broke his leg, because I watched this today, and I didn't know he broke his leg until I looked it up afterwards. And
Yeah.
as I was watching it, I was like, man, he broke his leg. He must have broke his leg, because you can't do that. And the thing about this that I don't understand that's very weird was, how did he break his leg and he broke the table somehow by chance, because he didn't fuck up the spot. So at least they broke the table. But okay.
So wait, in this spot, he landed on his foot. He landed on.
Yeah.
I didn't see the match.
I think
and I didn't see the injury.
It looked like
He was
one foot landed on the mat, the other one landed on the table, or I'm not sure. From that angle, I can't really tell. I don't know.
Okay.
So the whole rest of the match, he's like limping. He's trying to do things. He actually tries to execute a spear with a broken leg. You see, here he is walking around getting thrown into the ring. Like, this is bad. That's why some people are saying his career is over, because he might have done way too much damage in just trying to be professional and finish this match. But here's the end spot. I'll just show the ending when they were gonna finish him off, the House of Black, all three of them in the ring, holding him down, and Gangrel comes in. He was the surprise second member of the Brood. Gangrel was under the ring, and he cleared the ring of the House of Black. Right, Vlad? This guy, an old wrestler from the 90s, cleared the ring of Brody King.
Well, to be fair, he is a vampire. He is a vampire. So wait a second. Okay, he's not just a wrestler from the 90s, bro. This guy is ageless.
He's a vampire warrior. Anyways, and look at that spot he took, that bump he took, that roundhouse kick from Malachi Black. Look at how he falls to the floor. See, I appreciate this type of work. This guy could be an excellent worker. He would probably be the best worker, like, in today's day and age. But back then they had workers like this just in the mid-card. Anyways, Edge wins. Edge wins the match. He's going to submit Malachi Black with a broken leg. Put a submission move on him with a piece of barbed wire around his face. Malachi Black, I guess, lost consciousness from the humanity of it all. And then Gangrel.
What the hell are you? I'm glad I skipped most of this crap. This is unbelievable. Some of the stuff you're showing me. Okay. Okay, continue on, though.
Anyways, Gangrel helps him up the ramp. He's got a broken leg. And as we're going to see later on Dynamite, when we do our little Dynamite review, is they're going to relinquish the TNT title because Adam Copeland is really seriously injured for real. All right, let's get some comments, I guess, from the experts here. We'll start with Vlad. I know it's time to pile on AEW. I mean, this was Edge though. He's experienced. He's supposed to be experienced. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, he's supposed to be experienced, but I think AEW, I don't know, your inhibitions or any logic goes out the window. Like, these veteran wrestlers from the WWE or wherever they've come from, they are not giving the type of mentorship and leadership that they're just doing the same stupid stuff that the guys on the indie scene would be doing, you know, the guys, because most of these guys came from the indies that are in AEW now, right? We can all agree to that. Most of them have, outside of the guys that were in WWE, most of them other guys are indie wrestlers. That's a fact. That's just a fact of the way things are. Okay, but it's up to the guys that were the veterans to try to at least teach some of these guys not to do some of the stuff. And Copeland Edge was supposed to be one of those guys when he came in, and he's completely failed in that regard. And the bumps he was taking were just so stupid in this match. To have such a stupid match is unbelievable for a guy of his accomplishments, of his ilk. And then
all right,
take that
you made some good points there, Vlad. You made some good points. Let me cut you off, though. I want to move the show along. Robert, let me get some comments from you.
It sucks that it happened to him. I don't know whose idea was for that spot, but I'm sure he had the power to say no to that if he didn't want to do it.
It's probably his idea.
It probably was his idea, and it wasn't executed correctly, or maybe some freak accident. I don't know, but it sucks that it happened to him. Not much more I can add to what Vlad said.
I mean,
hope you recovered from this, and go ahead.
I thought you were going to mention, Robert, when I kicked it to you, for a guy who had already had his career ended by injury, who is a miracle that he's even come back at all and is having this kind of match. For a few that it really hasn't even landed, but all right, I'm not going to dwell
to do that. To do that spot, yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. Yep.
For a great feud, if it was WWE, if it was WrestleMania, okay, but I don't know. I think these older guys here, especially Edge, who wants to stick around a little longer. But Sting was doing all kinds of stuff like that too. But Sting just kind of survived them somehow.
I was thinking of Sting too when I saw
How many times did Sting almost paralyze himself in AEW, and just by some sheer luck, he avoided it.
I don't think it was luck. I think he was professional. I think.
Was it professional when he couldn't move for 2 minutes?
That one he messed up. But I think for the most part, he surveyed the safety of it and figured the best way he could do it without getting hurt. Beforehand, before the show started and such. So I don't know what happened with Edge here, man. He needed to land on the table. He didn't land on the table. Okay, I'm going to move on to Anarchy in the Arena from that same night when we just read the result that the Elite won, the bad guys. It was some kind of chaos melee that happened all over the arena, which I don't really care about. But
no, who cares? They've done it 100 times.
I mean, we could a couple spots that we could mention that are pretty outrageous was Jack Perry going into the ice bath. I thought was a pretty
cool spot. He's trying to drown him. Good.
That is pretty funny, you gotta admit. People hate Jack Perry. And then Jack Perry proceeds to run him over, but they didn't really show it. They didn't really show that Darby was, under that pile of rubble that Jack
You're so stupid. My God, man.
Jack Perry is unconscious at the wheel. Good, I'm sorry. For the audio listeners, we have to describe what's happening on the screen for anybody listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But yes, Jack Perry is unconscious at the wheel after. This would be cool, though, if this was good characters, right? And a good angle. Like if this was Stone Cold and Triple H and this happened in the main event, this would be wild as fuck. But since it's like Jack Perry, I mean, Darby I respect, but Jack Perry and the Young Bucks and the Elite we've talked about on this show have kind of killed this. Maybe the Young Bucks have. Is Jack Perry? Are you lumping in Jack Perry with the Elite, Vlad, in this angle, or is Jack Perry as bad as the Elite, or no?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because he's kind of he's probably, I think he might even be dumber than they are. Some of the stuff that he wants to do and actually ended up doing and now is allowed to do, which we're going towards, I don't want to give it away to our, our viewers that are going to be watching as we're going, but, we all know what he does later on in this match. So, yes, he's just as bad, if not worse.
Robert, do you lump in Jack Perry with the Elite? I mean, I feel like you've been kind of a fan of Jack Perry.
I kind of like his heel character. Well, and we're not at Dynamite yet, but his Dynamite promo is decent, I would say. So I don't hate him. I'm not a huge fan of his, but This is a lot more interesting than when he was still Jungle Boy.
Babyface. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I like him a lot more now as Jack Perry than when he was still Jungle Boy.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Vlad, you see, I got to go along with that. Definitely an improvement over Jungle Boy.
Okay,
Anyway, Vlad.
that's a small thing. That's a really small thing.
Okay. But also, I wouldn't say he's as bad as the Young Bucks. I just wouldn't say he's that level. But Vlad, can you get in frame for the YouTube viewers? They need to see your face. That Vlad face. All right, let me move on to the rest of this Anarchy in the Arena match, just to show the high spot that everyone was talking about after the show. Here comes Darby back into the ring after getting ran over, squished. He's back. He's back a few minutes later, like 3 minutes later. Here's Jack Perry. Oh, this part, he grabs Tony Khan at the gorilla position. I forgot about this. But Tony Khan, who feared for his life when CM Punk was lunging towards him, now Jack Perry actually grabs him and is doing violence.
He's gonna get fired now.
Here comes
someone got fired.
Well, here comes Jack Perry into the arena with Tony Khan, and Darby Allin proceeds to light Jack Perry on fire. And this was the big spot that was everywhere on YouTube, on all the thumbnails after the show. It was like Jack Perry lit on fire. I mean, it's pretty momentous for wrestling, I think. It's a pretty cool spot.
Yeah, I agree.
So wait, you're telling me this guy is not dumber than he's not supposed to be lumped in with the Young Bucks after it's being set on fucking fire?
Hey, if one of the Young Bucks took this getting set on fire spot, I might think a little differently about them. All right, but let me just.
Yeah, I'd be thinking about it differently too. But these
Jack Perry's the
shot.
He's the one who took it. Jack Perry is the one who actually took it.
He's the scapegoat.
You gotta give him something for that.
That's what it smelled like. It was burned goat. That's what it was.
Oh no, that was like a Robert joke. All right, let me move on to.
Well, Robert's a great comedian.
Let me move on to the rest of the match, and Okada brings out the Young Bucks Reebok sneakers, but they've got nails on the bottom of them, and I think they super kick Darby Allin, who's hanged upside down in the middle of the ring somehow.
How did that happen? How did he end up? I didn't watch the match, so I don't even know how.
You didn't watch this match? Oh, I thought you went back and watched. Yeah, they obviously.
No, I didn't watch any of it.
They obviously hung him up there. Jesus, how do you think, Robert?
Well,
and
okay.
And Danielson tries to come in.
This is something that happens all the time.
Right, okay.
How did they? It's a great question. Well, how? Why? What the fuck is happening? This is all great questions Robert's asking. Kayla's like, this is nothing to see here. It's all normal. The guy's fucking hanging 15 feet from the ring, and Kayla's like, nothing to see here.
It is. So in the end, Danielson tries to come help Darby, and he gets hit by Jack Perry with his own move, the running knee, and that's how the Elite win. And then Nick Jackson is celebrating.
So the guy, I have to
for the Elite.
All right, Vlad. I'm sorry. So you want to know how he got up there? All right, I'll rewind it. They had a thing hanging from the rafters that came all the way down, and then they tied Darby Allin's feet to it somehow. And then they lifted it up. I guess somebody was working that machine.
Oh, okay.
Here you go.
There. Okay, so it got lowered down.
Yeah, it got lowered down, and then they tied it to Darby's legs, and then they lifted him up like that. It was a cool. But anyways, okay. There was some crazy psycho spots here. I mean, I guess we just got to give comments. Let's start with Robert, I guess, from what you're seeing. Any comments?
I don't know, man. These are just the highlights I'm seeing right now, but it's hilarious. I actually think it's kind of comedic.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it was kind of worthy of being the main event, in my opinion, with all this craziness. I was like, why is this the main event? But I guess they did pull out some stops, if you know what I mean. As I'm skipping through this match, you guys are getting some imagery of it for the YouTube viewers who have some video in the corner. Zoom in if you want to watch it bigger, by the way.
Yeah, zoom in and stop complaining.
Stop complaining in the comments. Just zoom in with your fingers like that. Like that. Anyway, so the Elite win. Vlad, any comments? You got to rail on AEW a little bit more, right? This is your chance.
Okay, I don't want to, beat another, dead horse type situation, but come on, dude. What the hell is this? This is such an embarrassment. The guy that was set on fire is the guy that wins the match. I mean, what are we doing?
That's true. I forgot about that. He sure recovered pretty quickly from that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. It was ridiculous. It was so stupid. It was embarrassing. It was, like I said, when you go to AEW, the thing is, there's a whole bunch of, there's freedom, and a lot of wrestlers love that. You could do stupid stuff like this. But in reality, it's not as what it's, for the business, for the sake of the wrestling business. Some guys need to be produced. Some guys need to be told what to do. Some guys need to be told no on certain things. And since there's none of that in AEW, nothing like that, this is the result of that. And that's really the bottom line. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm not going to really rail on it because that's what they've been doing. This is the type of stuff this is the type of wrestling that they think is good. So who am I to say it's not? I mean, for me, it's not. But for others, okay, maybe some people like it. But I think it's a disgrace. And if I was WWE, I wouldn't want this to be compared to like my programming, for sure. Like, I don't want.
Wait, you got cut off there. If you were WWE, what?
I'm sorry, I wouldn't want this to be compared to my program to say like this is a wrestling promotion compared to us,
So you're saying this dirties the name of wrestling in general, like it's that bad?
Yeah, this is one of the worst. This is one of the worst promotions. I think at this point you could say that this is one of the worst promotions in the history of wrestling.
All right, I'm gonna put on my Malapert Smark hat. Again, I don't like doing this, but I guess I have to try to figure out why this angle didn't land, because there are aspects of this here that are kind of good, right, Robert? Some of this was entertaining, but it just didn't land perfectly right. Like, it didn't land like this was a historically great angle. And why is that? I think I would say it's because a lot of these wrestlers in this angle have cast themselves as someone who is just not believable, and I think that's important. When you do like a really intense angle that you want people to believe in, like when you're grabbing the owner and beating him up, you want it to be believable. You don't want it to people to think like, oh, this is just fake bullshit. And the fact that the Young Bucks are in it, and Jack Perry, I guess I'll go along with you, Vlad. Like, yeah, he's trying, and it's better than his babyface stuff, but it's also just not believable. Darby, I think I could believe in. Danielson, I can believe in. But Darby's Tony Khan also very bad. The acting, it all just didn't seem believable. I think a lot of these crazy spots were wasted on a match like this. I think it could have been, if they used it for someone like CM Punk and MJF. Imagine if CM Punk and MJF's feud became so heated that one of them tried to run the other one over with a car. Like, that would have been good. You see, if it really got to that point where like they really fucking hated each other to the point they wanted to murder each other, like that could have been good. But since it's Jack Perry and Tony Khan and the Young Bucks, none of this matters because nobody cares. I think that's kind of the conclusion I've come to of why this angle didn't really stick. But
I agree with you on that. It's the people involved. That's the bottom line. I don't want to give another long-winded answer, but yes, I completely agree.
Well, the last thing I'll mention from Double or Nothing, which is going to be our lead into talking about Dynamite, was Mercedes and Willow. I'm not going to go through the whole match, but I thought it was a good match. If I were to give a review, I think this was actually a very solid match. Well-worked match. I think they worked well together. Their size difference kind of worked in this case, that Willow was the bigger one, and Mercedes was kind of trying to run away from her and keep a distance. I thought it looked good. The work looked good. So if there was somewhere where Mercedes actually earned her money or her big salary that everyone's saying that she was terrible on the promos, at least she had a good match here up until the booking, which is the end part where they decided the fate of this match, which I think that's where we'll jump to just to talk about it, because I think it started here after Mercedes hit a double running knee onto Willow on the outside, and that's where she bumps into Statlander, and she pushes Statlander first. And then Statlander's going to get on the apron and talk to her about pushing her, and then Mercedes pushes her again. And this is where Statlander gets on the apron, and so does Stokely. And this distracts from when Willow is going to actually put her finishing move on Mercedes and supposedly win the match. So this part is confusing, though, because you see Statlander saying, no, turn around, telling Stokely, stop it. So they're trying to help Willow win, although they do turn on her after the match, but it seemed like genuinely like they weren't really trying to screw her over there. So, okay. And then the ending of the match comes. A sunset flip from Mercedes turns into, I don't know the name of her finishing move. The Money Maker. There you go. Put the volume up a little bit. Yeah, that was cool that she hit that on Willow when she was holding her up. That was pretty crazy. Let me rewind that a little bit. The crowd popped for this.
She's got Willow up. Goes towards the center of the ring. Could this be?
Carries her. How does she do that? She's just a little girl. I don't know. I'm kind of impressed by that, but okay. And then post-match, we get the heel turn from Statlander as Mercedes wins the title, and then Statlander pushes Stokely, which I guess was a ruse, because as she's walking away with Willow, she also clotheslines her, and that's her heel turn. So, I don't know. A kind of very shoddily done heel turn. But I don't know if anyone watched this match or wants to give any comments about anything so far.
Yeah, I'll be quick. It was probably the highlight of this whole feud was the match. I thought it was, like you said, pretty good. I could tell that it was very solid and very good. And actually, that's one of the things I said is one of her, Mercedes Monet, strength is actually being, in the ring and being a great wrestler. And her promos obviously were not good, and all the lead up to this was not good, but the match itself was pretty solid.
Did you watch this match, Robert? Were you interested enough to go back and watch it?
I did not watch any of the pay-per-view at all, but I'm hearing you. Yeah, I know, right? But hearing you guys say that it was a good match, I'm not surprised given the people involved. So I don't have a comment on the match, but I will say this: Willow has really grown on me in the recent months. Where like at this point I can say I'm a really big Willow fan. I feel like she's the most entertaining female wrestler out of the whole AEW women's roster. For me, at least, when they play like the baby face persona, many times it often feels like they're playing a baby face persona, whereas for Willow, I feel like that's probably really her. She's not really, playing that role. That's just who she is.
You don't think Willow's an complete asshole in real life? That would be hilarious.
I don't think so. I mean, I would be surprised if she was in real life. But and we already know how good Mercedes is, so I'm not surprised to hear that it was a good match. I probably should go back and watch it at some point.
All right, let me skip to Dynamite now. Let's jump to Dynamite from Wednesday, June 5th. So this was a few days ago now, and we had an explanation for why Statlander turned on Willow. Here's Stokely Hathaway in the back with Statlander, and Statlander basically said that, what was it? She was coming back from injury and wanted to get her title back, and Willow wasn't a good friend. She wasn't listening to her. She wasn't lending a friend type of ear or something like that. This is my summary of it. Yeah, it was terrible. I don't know. This was a terrible heel turn. This didn't land. This was
only because there was no lead up to it. There was no explanation why this was happening. There was nothing, no signs of any crack in their relationship, really. They haven't even, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. This was just bad for those reasons.
Yeah. Robert, I don't know. You want to make any comments about that before I move on from it?
I don't remember her explanation. I just remember it not making sense to me.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense. I had to listen to it twice to try to really get it. But anyways, yeah. So Mercedes, from her side, she won the TBS title, so she came out to kind of brag. She talked for a good amount of time. I don't know what she talked about. Do you guys know what she talked about? All I know is that Sky Blue interrupted.
I remember her saying that Willow gave her the fight of her life, and she could have told Willow about the turn by Statlander. Like, she saw that coming. She gave a lot of props to Willow, basically.
And then Sky Blue interrupted, which I kind of like this. I was like, okay, Sky Blue against Mercedes, not bad. I could take that. I thought it would be for the next pay-per-view, but it was actually for this night. And they showed that Sky Blue was the mystery person who attacked her in the middle of the night. Or in the dark, sorry, in the middle of the night. But a
She
few
came
weeks
in her
ago,
house and attacked her in the middle of the night.
No, and then she
with a frying pan.
No, but then she actually got her in the middle of the ring from behind. So Mercedes was distracted, and this set up their match later in the night. So I guess this wasn't for Forbidden Door because Mercedes has someone else lined up for Forbidden Door, some girl from Mexico
Japan.
Or something.
Oh, Mexico. Fantastic. That makes sense. Great.
Well, this is the Sky Blue Mercedes Moné match for the TBS title. So Sky Blue got her match right away. This was a pretty good match too. I mean, Mercedes was pretty much the dominant one throughout the match, and then this was the end. Mercedes shrugged off a Code Blue to hit a Moné Maker to win the match. And then afterwards, what's this girl's name? Stephanie Vaquer. Okay, from CMLL, but she's the New Japan women's champion. Not New Japan. New Japan Strong. I don't know the difference.
Okay.
All right, now I'm recording. So Robert, sorry, we had to stop recording for a second, but Robert says that he'd never heard of this woman.
Never. I don't watch what is that, CMLL? I've never watched that promotion, so I'm not familiar with any of them. Later on in the night there were some other CMLL wrestlers that came out. I think some of them are a bit familiar, but Stephanie Vaquer I've never heard of.
Vlad, what did you have to say about Robert never having heard of this lady from CMLL? He said he's never watched CMLL.
And I said no one has. No one. But this is a classic AEW thing where they bring somebody out and they expect to know who she is, but unless you're maybe, a true diehard of all wrestling that watches New Japan, Mexican wrestling, CMML, whatever, AAA, all the different promotions, you would know who this lady is. I'm sorry, I don't have time for that. We only can watch the stuff that's on national TV in America. At least I can. So I don't know who this is supposed to be. If she's good, why bring her out like this? Like she's a big somebody. She comes out with a title that I don't even understand what the point of it is. So much stupidity in this. It's classic AEW though. They do it all the time. All the time.
All right. Well, I think this could be a good match. I mean, the one thing about Forbidden Door...
Who? What? Why? What do you know about this girl? Even if it doesn't say it could... Let's say it is going to be a good match. Fine, I'll give you that. Why should we care? Why should anyone care?
Well, look, the one thing about Forbidden Door, I'll say, Vlad, you don't have to watch all these things, okay? I'm not telling people, look, go watch New Japan, go watch CMLL, spend your whole day. I'm already spending my whole life watching wrestling, and I just watch American wrestling. So...
Right.
But at least if you're kind of a fan of wrestling, you might be interested to see what's out there. At least it'll give you a taste. You'll be, I like watching indie wrestlers. Like whenever there's a jobber in every town, I usually watch those matches just because I'm like, well, it's cool. This guy's a wrestler. I've never seen him before. Let's see their skills. Let's see their moveset. This person spent their whole life focusing on the craft of wrestling, so I'll give them a chance at least for this month to see them. So I'm not as down on Forbidden Door as you are, but I know when it comes to this month for AEW, it's not your favorite month to cover this stuff. But, I don't mind it as much. At least it gives us a chance to see some people that we're not going to see for the rest of the year. And I'm not going to go follow CMLL or AAA or New Japan, but maybe someone might. Maybe someone might see this girl and go like, wow, this is really cool. I'm going to I'm gonna go work for CMLL when I grow up. Who knows? I don't know. I have no idea.
But why introduce somebody like this? Like, we're supposed to know who she is. Like, she's a big star, and okay, maybe she's a big star in her promotion. That's fine. I'm not saying she isn't, but I'm saying nobody that's watching this program knows who the hell she is for the majority of people, and that's already a dwindling number of people that are watching the show, as it is. So that's my only point. Like, why introduce her like she's somebody when we don't even know who the hell this lady is? Why don't you have like a package explaining who she is, what's going to be happening? That would be better than just like her coming out like this. Like, who are you? What the fuck are you doing? You know, that's my thing. That's all.
Hey,
that's all
it's Forbidden Door season. If you work for a wrestling company, you can just show up in AEW this month and just call anyone out. All right, that's just that's just the way it is. But anyway,
all right, I give up on this whole fucking thing. All right, continue.
I don't want to spend too much more time on AEW, or I want to switch to WWE. But I'll just gloss over a couple more things from Dynamite that happened, so we can just say that we talked about it. If anything comes up here that you guys want to comment on, I guess we can stop and comment on it. But Joe and Hook, Samoa Joe is Hook's new mentor. Hook is his protege now. So he stopped Hook from going in and attacking Jericho and his boys 1-on-3. So Hook and Joe. All right, I don't know. I kind of like that, I guess. I'm not really going to pay too much attention to it, but it's kind of cool in theory.
I'll say that I like this mentorship better than Jericho and for sure. This is an improvement.
Yes.
Yes,
definitely. In other news of AEW, Don Callis offered Orange Cassidy membership into the Don Callis family, and Orange Cassidy refused it, ripped up the contract, and Statlander, who we mentioned earlier, who had turned heel, I guess she's now rejoining her other former best friend, Trent. Now they're still best friends, but now they're heel best friends. So,
the heel best friend.
Anyways, Orange Cassidy gets his ass kicked. Hey, Laura, what do you think of Orange Cassidy?
She thinks this should be his position all the time, laying on the ground, getting his ass beat.
Laura's bugging me, so I had to pick her up. My doggy, for you podcast listeners out there. All right. In other news, the Elite had to announce that the TNT title. They were out here to announce what was going to happen with Edge's TNT title. But before they did that, they got Okada a gift. Did you see this part, Robert?
Yes, no,
Lamborghini.
but the part right before this, when he actually said a line, was even funnier.
Which one?
Oh, yeah.
He forgot. Oh, he told the crowd, "Shut up, bitches."
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious.
It's hilarious. I like it.
It was hilarious. Even I laughed at that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was before Jack.
Oh, right there. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Oh, a little bit. Go. Okay. Yeah, right there.
Right here is perfect.
Hey! Shut up, bitches! How about that left jab?
So after he got the crowd to be quiet, he was gifted a Lamborghini by the Young Bucks, which is a really crazy gift. And Okada's tripping.
Oh my God! Freaking Lamborghini. It's a badass Lambo. You see the license plate? Custom Rainmaker. Yeah. Oh my God! Is this a dream? Is this a dream? You deserve it!
I like Okada, Vlad, but okay, I'm not a Young Bucks fan, but I like Okada. Anyways,
Stripped of the TNT.
so they obviously strip Adam Copeland of the TNT title, but the surprising part was that they were gonna give it to Jack Perry, just hand it to him, and I thought that was gonna be cool, but that's not what ended up happening. Christopher Daniels ended up coming out, and I guess he's a vice president now. Instead of getting fired like he did a couple weeks ago by the Young Bucks, Tony Khan made him an EVP, and they're gonna have I don't even know what they're gonna have, a series of matches or something.
Oh,
something like that.
a series of matches. Well, that's AEW in a nutshell.
Yeah, they're gonna have some kind of thing to determine the TNT title. So, the Young Bucks didn't get to give it to Jack Perry. They tried to, but they were gonna beat him up. They were gonna beat up Daniels, but the Acclaimed came out to back up Christopher Daniels. So that's the end of that segment. All right. Well, other than the Okada thing, I think that was kind of a waste of time.
I have nothing else to add.
I'll mention that Roosh is back, because we used to cover Roosh a lot on this channel when he would have, he went to Mexico and got arrested. But he calls out MJF. Had a little promo where he very intensely calls out MJF for next week. So I guess they're going to send Roosh out to job to MJF, which should be interesting, I guess, if Roosh will just do that, but okay. And then the main event of this night, I'm sorry, excuse me, if anybody wants to comment on Roosh, otherwise I'll move on to the main event. No MJF today, too, though. No MJF today. They just mentioned that he came back. He'll be here next week. And then Leo Rush was part of this gauntlet match that was going to be a number one contenders match for the World Heavyweight title. So, he came in, had a little cool introductory scene to AEW, showed off some of his moves. I've heard of this guy, never seen him before.
He's been in this company before.
Yeah, he's been here before.
I guess, but they didn't use him. They didn't use
Not
him.
much, no.
Not much. No, because did he retire?
They didn't use him like
he was
this.
The guy that retired.
I don't know. I've never heard that. Anyways, the point of this gauntlet match, this world title shot gauntlet match, it was won by, well, for a second it looks like it was going to be won by Orange Cassidy. But Will Ospreay ends up hitting his Oz Cutter, which is way better than the Cody Cutter. It looks way better. Cody needs to stop doing that move. That's Will Ospreay's move now, honestly. But Ospreay's going to face Swerve Strickland. So I guess that's the news for the World Heavyweight title at Forbidden Door. So, interesting. All right. That's Dynamite for you guys. Anyone want to make any comments?
Okay. I mean, I'll say that I'm a little surprised that they're going to Swerve and Ospreay for Forbidden Door when everybody's thinking that they're going to have the match at Wembley, right? And that's when Ospreay probably would win the title. That's the thinking. I mean, because, right, hometown, right, he wins the title in front of huge crowd, the biggest crowd they could possibly get. I don't know. I just think it might be a little too soon, but I guess there's nothing to stop them from having multiple matches. So this is not bad. I mean, in the sense of these are the two more over guys in the currently in AEW. So fine. Why don't they have a feud? It's logically it makes sense. So I'm okay with it.
All right, Robert. Any thoughts about this feud?
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, I like both of them. I'm a little more of a fan of Will Ospreay than Swerve, but I love both of them. But then, who's gonna be the heel in this matchup? That's what I'm thinking. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the build-up is like for their match.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. If you didn't mention that, I was gonna mention it, Robert. This is babyface versus babyface, good guy versus good guy. Who are you supposed to root for? I don't know. I don't really dig it. I don't see what they could do with this other than have a match, but okay. All right, that's our AEW for the week. Sorry. We spent plenty of time on AEW. Let's move on to WWE. Let's move on to Raw from May 27th. So right when we got done recording last week and I put out all our segments from last week, the one segment that got the most views was the video of our review of Liv Morgan defeating Becky Lynch. But I think that's because something happened on Monday night when I posted all these videos in this Raw for this match. This was like a very important match that happened on this night. And that's why I think people were searching for this and ended up clicking on our video by mistake. So I think that's what happened. But yeah, Liv and Becky are set for a rematch here of their World Heavyweight title match. And it's in a steel cage for some reason after Dominic Mysterio interfered. We'll get to that. I'll mention the Judgment Day. Damian Priest had a talking to Dominic about interfering in that match and that he screwed up. What are you doing? Did you talk to Rhea? And they kind of want him to stay out of that, right? But
Yes.
he does get involved in it again. So let's just jump to the main event. It's Liv Morgan, it's the man, Becky Lynch, for the Women's World Heavyweight title. And this one ended, let's just jump to the booking. I thought it was a good match, but I'm going to skip 10 minutes. And this is where Dominic Mysterio enters the fray. And again, tries to help Becky. If anyone doesn't know the story, Liv Morgan injured Rhea Ripley backstage by accident, but they put it in the angle, that it's her fault. And Dominic doesn't want her to have the title because of that. So he's out here trying to help Becky Lynch. And then Judgment Day comes out, and they're telling him, what are you doing here? And then this is where another angle enters this fray. The Braun Strowman thing. Braun Strowman has been chasing JD McDonough around for some reason, terrorizing him. And then he bumps into Dominic Mysterio here, who bumps into the door, which hits Becky in the face.
This is some AEW shit right there.
And then that leads to Liv Morgan just escaping the cage and winning the match. And then the thing that got everyone's panties all in a twist about the ending of this match was that Liv Morgan actually, after the show went off the air, grabbed Dominic Mysterio and kissed him. Because I don't have that, but that's an internet thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I didn't know about that until you told me.
Yeah, so that's what was all the craze last Monday. And that's why everyone was looking for videos of this feud instead of all the other ones. Because I had a bunch of other videos that I thought would get more views, like the AJ Styles one. And, the CM Punk discussion about whether he's going to screw Drew McIntyre in Scotland. I thought those would all get more views. But it ended up being this because Liv Morgan made out with Dominic. And that's going to get mommy real mad. But I don't have video. If anyone watched this match and wants to make comments about this. Well, first of all, before I send it to you guys for comments, I will mention that Robert did suspect that something was amiss. Or that somebody would be betraying, or that Dominic would betray Rhea or something. Is that what you said? I don't know. I didn't sense anything coming, but this wasn't really Dominic betraying Rhea, but it is leading to something. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. Go ahead. Let's start with Robert. You go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking, I believe I said that Dominic would eventually turn on Rhea, and I think that this is it's leading up to that pretty much. I didn't think they would make out, or if they did, it would happen probably a little bit later on in the angle. But I don't know. They did it just this past week. Okay, that was they're moving along pretty fast. Okay,
but correct me real quick if I'm wrong. But isn't it supposed to be like one of those like she just grabbed him and kissed him type of thing out where he was visibly quote unquote enjoying it, right? So it's supposed to be like still the gray area where he hasn't completely like joined her side type of thing. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean she's the one that made the move.
Yeah, she's the one that made the move. Yeah. But you'd think he would go for it because if he could be with Liv Morgan or Rhea, he's not really with Rhea though. Rhea just like, I guess she dominates him, right? Is she his dominatrix?
Okay, wow. This is the topic of the day. Okay.
I'm not gonna
I'd rather have Liv Morgan as my girlfriend than Rhea Ripley as my dominatrix, I think.
I see. Well, that's a fair point.
I mean, I'm thinking that's what Dominic, the conclusion he's going to come into. I mean, this is the first time I'm thinking about this, but logically, this is it's kind of seems like, he should grow up and have a girlfriend now. He doesn't need to be just taking orders from Rhea Ripley. But anyways, okay, I'm going to move on if anyone doesn't have any more comments to make about this. What else?
Real quick, Ken, real quick. I just say the way this whole thing happened was really dumb and stupid. If they wanted Liv to win, they could have come up with a better way than this. They had that big goof, Braun Strowman, running around the ring like a freaking nutcase, and he pushes. Why is the cage door open like that? Like, why? What's the point of having a cage match if some nitwit could come in and just like, oh, I'll open the door? I don't know. The whole thing wasn't really done very well and kind of reminded me a little bit of AEW, but that's all I'll say about that. So we can move on.
All right. Well, the next topic I have from Raw was the whole Gunther thing when he came out for the King of the Ring. not coronation, but he came to talk about winning King of the Ring, and then Damian Priest comes out because they've set it up that they're going to do the World Heavyweight Champion against the winner of the King of the Ring. And the same with the women on the other side. Damian comes out, he confronts Gunther, but Drew McIntyre also comes out because, you know, he has a match with Damian. So he kind of comes in and tells Gunther, like, you know what, we have to settle this first so you can leave. And Gunther's like, yeah, you're right. Go ahead and settle it. And then that leaves Drew and Damian to talk. So we talked about what this might entail a little bit last week. We kind of projected into the future, into their match, and obviously CM Punk looms over this big. I don't think we need to discuss this too much further because it's basically just, as we said last week, either Punk is going to interfere or not. So we're just waiting to see what's going to happen there. But they had some good jabs here. This was interesting because they took some pokes at each other. I don't know if you guys remember any of it, but I guess I could play a line from Damian.
That's how you get under people's skin, right? You talk your truths. Let me talk some of that. Actually, let me ask you a question. Your wife gonna be there? What's her name?
Better choose your next bloody words carefully. I will drop you where you stand if you continue in this path.
All right, Drew, listen. I could care less if she's gonna be there or not, man. I just wanted to see if I could get under your skin.
Very interesting verbal confrontation here, but CM Punk looms over like a cloud, even though he's not here in this segment. This has much to do with CM Punk. But yes, comments before I move on.
Just real quick, I'll be quick. I've kind of, I'm enjoying this. I think David Priest is actually showing something. And he's been pretty good in these promo moments, leading up to this, where I'm not 100% that Drew should go over. Most likely he should, but not, 100% convinced because Damian's doing a decent job on these promos.
Yeah, maybe this is kind of like a test that they're seeing if Damian can hang with these guys. Like, if he's really bad, they might have to just take the title off him. But he's not that bad. Right. So,
no.
Robert, what'd you think of this segment?
It was decent, and as far as the outcome of their match, if the PLE was taking place in any other location, any other country, I would feel a lot more comfortable picking Damian Priest as the winner in their matchup. But seeing where it's taking place, there is a very real possibility Drew actually wins. But I don't know. I'm slightly still favoring Damian to come out on top in their matchup. Well, we'll see.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Well, let me move on, though. I got to move on to the Braun Breaker stuff because last week his segment was really hot. And we're waiting to see what would happen with that as that storyline continued. After he destroyed some jobber, he also speared Ricochet backstage, and Ricochet is injured, but he's cleared. So he's going to face Dragunov tonight. So at this point, Braun Breaker has been suspended by Adam Pearce, so he's not supposed to be there. But Ricochet is going to face Dragunov. Here's Ricochet coming out, and he's a little injured. Dragunov didn't really want to face an injured opponent, but the match is taking place nonetheless. We got a nice little backflip here for you fans of backflips. I know AEW do this a lot, but WWE have the best ones even at that. Even though AEW are known for their flips, I think WWE have the best flippers technically. So yeah, Ricochet looked like he had a chance to win at the end, but Braun Breaker interfered and speared Ricochet. So he's here even though he's suspended. Man, he's so red. Why does he look so hot? But anyways, Dragunov tries to fight him off after he's had a long, tough match, but he's going to get speared by Braun Breaker here too. Anyways, Adam Pearce comes out. He's angry at him. You've been suspended. You should have stayed home, he tells him. But anyways, any thoughts about how this is progressing for you guys? Let's start with Vlad.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like I said last week, I thought I was a big fan of that angle and what they're doing with Breaker so far. So far, so good. I mean, I have no issues with this, no complaints, just nothing negative to say. I'm curious to see what it all leads to for him. He's supposed to be their next big thing. They have their hopes that he will be a star in the future, a guy that will be able to be the next whatever, Roman Reigns or whatever have you, something to that ilk. So, I mean, obviously he's a long way from that right now, but I'm saying that's the hope for him. So, I'm very curious how this all unfolds for him. But so far, I'm digging it.
All right, Robert, did you want to make a comment about Braun Breaker's segment this week?
I'm digging it too. They're making him look like an absolute beast. So, and as they should, because he looks the part. So
yeah. Well, the one thing about Dragunov being involved in it, if he's going to end up losing to Braun Breaker, I mean, he's new, and I kind of don't want that for him. But if anyone can take it, I think it's Dragunov, because I think he's going to be like an underdog type of character. So him losing doesn't really matter, because I think it just kind of makes him kind of more likable, and, you know, for when he does win, it'll make it better. So anyways, I'm going to move on from Raw to the Alpha Academy business for this week. I guess I'll just mention it, that, what's his name, Otis lost. He had a match with Bronson.
It was Bronson Reed. Okay.
Yeah, so he had a match with Bronson Reed already, and then afterwards, Chad Gable is going to do his thing where he berates everybody in Alpha Academy. This week he's going to whip Otis, right? And then Maxine Dupree stops him, and he, you know, gets mad at her for that and throws her out of there. And then Sami Zayn comes into the ring, and he's the one who's trying to convince Otis to turn on Chad Gable and stand up for himself. So that's the storyline here. So this led to a physical confrontation when Gable attacked Sami Zayn, trying to get him to shut up. And then Sami Zayn was going to whip his ass. And then Otis still helped Chad Gable, even though all the verbal abuse and everything. So this leads to Chad Gable getting the final shot in on Sami, suplexes him from behind, and that's where we are at this point in this. This is good business. I think this storyline is progressing. Okay, let's get some comments on this segment.
I'll just say that, yeah, this was also an angle that I'm enjoying. It's been good so far. Again, I'm so happy for Gable that he's out of the comedic, the shush thing, and he's actually being used to his abilities. He can be, you know, we know he has the in-ring ability, but we've never really seen any type of real believable character work at all. It's always been like comedy, dumb stuff, getting embarrassed, looking like an idiot type of thing. This, at least, is something that they're running with, and it's been good so far. And obviously, Sami is also really good. I've liked that, you know, the way he sells, the way he gets things over is really usually well received by me and most of the fans, I think, that are watching. So this is good stuff.
Robert, let me get some comments from you for Monday Night Raw before we move on to SmackDown.
I agree with what Vlad said about this angle and about Chad Gable. The one thing I do want to add is I still find it hilarious that while Chad Gable is not in that comedic role anymore, the commercials recently that involve Chad Gable still show him in that comedic role. So it's like two completely different characters that we're seeing from Chad Gable, the ones that we see in the commercial and then the ones that we see on the show.
Oh, are there like commercials that they air during the Raw?
During Raw, yeah.
Back when he was in his other role.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, they should cut.
Yeah, they should probably not show those commercials anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. I did not notice that because I always forward through the commercials, so I don't know that. But good to know.
Yeah, I didn't know that, Robert, either. I never watched the commercials, but okay. Okay, so I want to wrap up the show for today, so let me move on to SmackDown. That's the last thing we'll talk about. Then we can all go to bed. And then I'll release this for the people in the morning so they can watch our reviews of these wrestling segments, because our review is what everyone's waiting for, really. No one cares about anyone else's. This is the premier wrestling review on the internets. So let's move on to SmackDown from Friday, May 31st. Let's talk about the Bloodline.
Okay, I haven't seen this.
You are recruiting some very violent men into the Bloodline. And all I see are random acts of violence. But I don't see any strategy at all. Just Solo, the strategy has to be that when Roman comes back, we have Cody Rhodes in check.
All right, and this was Solo's response.
Wise man, we got Cody Rhodes in check, and he doesn't even know it.
And then Paul Heyman says, "Who's we?" Like Paul Heyman is starting to suspect that there's someone else, maybe. But before they even respond to that, Kevin Owens' music hits. Paul Heyman goes out to talk to Kevin Owens, and they have a whole segment. There's one good part where he's trying to tell him, you shouldn't mess with these Samoans because they're dangerous. They're dangerous people. And KO was like, now obviously, he's here to fight. Nothing scares KO. And this was Paul Heyman's response.
Okay? Maybe I'm not trying to help you. Maybe I'm just trying to save you. You ever think about that? Huh? You ever think of that? Maybe, just maybe, I bet your kids, huh? You've met my kids, I've met your kids, and maybe, just what? A man can't redeem himself after all these years? How many times have you redeemed yourself? But me, oh no, let's not think that Paul Heyman can ever redeem himself. Not Paul Heyman, not Paul Heyman. He can never redeem himself. Why won't you understand what you are up against with these thugs? Why won't you understand what I'm trying to do for you right now? I am a freaking Hall of Fame wise man, but no, let's not, the Hall of Fame wise man, no, let's just sit here and think I have some feature, I have some vision for the future of Solo taking over the entire bloodline. Why won't anybody?
He accidentally throws the microphone at KO, and KO is gonna threaten to beat him up, but the Bloodline's music hits, and here comes the Bloodline. Solo with his two crazy, violent, criminal Samoan cousins. And then this leads to the Street Profits coming in to back up KO, and then that leads to a match between the Bloodline against the Street Profits. So, anyways, that Paul Heyman segment I thought was a highlight of the night for me. And then
For sure.
This leads to a brawl and then a match. But anyways, I thought that was a little bit interesting. I felt like maybe there was a moment where Paul Heyman was kind of questioning that Solo's not the main guy or that there's someone else. But Robert, first time you've seen that, but that was a nice little Paul Heyman segment, no?
That was pretty awesome, yeah.
Let me move on to the final thing of the night that I want to play. It's my favorite thing from the show, and I heard about this. I got spoiled for this AJ Styles stuff before I even watched SmackDown because it popped up on the internet somewhere that AJ pulled a Mark Henry. That's what everyone kept saying. He pulled a Mark Henry.
Yes. Oh, man. I was going to mention that. Damn it. All right, go ahead.
So he's going to announce his retirement, but he's here in Nick Aldis's office. He wants to talk to him about getting some time on the air at the end of the show or something. And he's like, yeah, this is going to be hard enough. Let me just go tell it in the ring. So they kind of tease it throughout the show. A little later on, there's a thing that a little bumper before the commercial, AJ Styles to address his future later tonight. And then as he's making his way towards the ring, LA Knight stops him. Everyone can kind of sense what's going on, that he might be going out there to retire. And Cody Rhodes shakes his hand too. And the Good Brothers, his friend, they're crying. And AJ goes out there and he grabs the mic and yeah, basically he's going to retire, right? I'm going to save you guys some time. I'll just tell you what happens. He calls out Cody to talk to him because they had their last match together. So I guess he wanted to, have a moment with him in the ring. And Cody comes out here at AJ's retirement, puts him over, shakes his hand, raises his hands around the ring, goes all around the ring, and then the clothesline came. And AJ takes off his suit, which I thought it was funny that AJ Styles was wearing a suit. It didn't really seem like him. But if it was AEW, they would have just sent him out there in a plaid shirt or something to retire. But at least WWE put him in a nice suit. No tie, though. He wasn't wearing a tie. And then he throws Cody Rhodes into the ring steps, and this is a good way to get a match, no? Because they weren't going to give him his match. He had to force this somehow. This is great, right? Well, before I get comments from Vlad, I'll just show you the Styles Clash he did off the steel steps, which I thought was interesting. It was very, I thought it was a difficult move. Like, he's going to pick him up, upside down, and then slam him face first onto the floor off of like 2 steps. And I'll put it in slow motion. But gets real close off the edge of the steps, so that's pretty professional from him. And somehow lands like on his side of his feet, sort of. That's tough. A tough move to give. Tough move to take.
Very tough move to give and to take.
Tough move to take, but Cody took it pretty well. But there you go. TNA's best and AEW's best. Doing big business for WWE here. Vlad, comments.
Yeah, remember when we said they had their match at that PLE a couple months back? We said, well, look, it's going to be a good match, but there's no angle. There's no angle there. It was just going to be a good match. This is a great fucking angle. This is fantastic. This is the way it's done. This is great. As you mentioned, and I'm sure people have mentioned, of course, because they followed wrestling, this was like the Mark Henry, John Cena moment from like, what, 13, 14, I forgot when it was, maybe 2012, I don't remember. But Mark Henry's was a little bit better because Mark Henry was all crying and stuff and tears were coming out of his eyes.
And it was probably more believable because I don't think people thought really AJ was going to retire. I mean, I didn't see this live, but I can't imagine that people really thought this was it.
I mean, the crowd seemed to be believing it. They were all like thanking him and they were all like sad that it was happening and, but
did any of you see this live? Did either of you see this without knowing what happened or no?
No, I was spoiled too, unfortunately.
So I didn't watch SmackDown, and I didn't know what led up to the clothesline, but the clothesline was spoiled. So I knew about the clothesline at least.
Okay, well, all right. Well, none of us, neither of 3 of us got the feeling of watching this without being spoiled of what happened at the end. But it was still good, though. And thank God it's a good angle for AJ Styles, man. We've been waiting for something. But the good match this could happen sometimes. Sometimes there could be a cold match that leads to a good angle. That could happen too, sometimes. So this is a case of that, and I think it's working out.
Maybe you're right. It was such a great match that maybe they're like, well, let's just do another one, but let's put something behind it this time.
Yeah, I don't know if they had this whole idea planned out from the very beginning. Maybe the fact that it was,
I don't think so.
it was so good led to them having to give AJ a massive starring role in this angle. It's still going to be another loss for him, though. But will that be the end of AJ? Is this his retirement angle, though? Is he going to lose to Cody Rhodes and just leave? Maybe it'll just be his last title match. Maybe it's like, after this, you can't ask for another title match. Because this is your last chance, bro.
Yeah, it could be.
All right, but good segment. Good stuff. All right, well, that's all we have for this week. All right, we got to go, guys. It's late. Thank you guys for being on the show. I'm going to let you guys know how many subscribers we got this week because they're just piling in like an avalanche. If you haven't subscribed yet, you got to hit subscribe, bro. Because this is the premier wrestling podcast on the internet these days. After Jim Cornette retires, it will be only us. I'm telling you. Anyways, guys, until next week, thank you.